Damn, Sam. Duggar. I'm talking about this Thursday. 3, man. 2016 shit.
Welcome back, everybody. What is up? We are approaching the semifinals, Week 15. We're the Fan Bros podcast, about to kick this one off. Got a big week for a lot of people coming up.
Oh man, if you're still in it, I'm with you. The nerves are there. You want the win. We're so close to getting that gold. Let's get it going.
So, at this point, there's not a whole lot you can do to pick up people. We'll cover a couple streamers, but right now it's more so who do you start, who do you sit. Things change fast, so we're going to go matchup by matchup, touch on people, who you should sit, who you should start. So, let's start with Thursday night. The LA Chargers versus the Raiders.
Yeah, Jacobs is probably the most notable thing we need to touch right now. He missed that week. He was kind of injured, and he came back and was playing good. He had a weird tackle in the first half that kind of gimped him up, and they did a lot of Jalen Richard, but it was also kind of they were trying to move the ball quick, hurry up offense, so Jalen Richard kind of stayed there. Josh Jacobs came back in, got a lot of carries. I think he's going to be fine this week. He's a great volume play. Even though he hasn't been finishing great amongst the other running backs, like on a point basis, he's still running the ball really hard and looks good. I think this week he could get some pay dirt, and you have to start him. I think he's almost a must start.
Yeah, he's pretty much there. I mean, he's slid more into a high-end RB2 kind of over the last few weeks, but still, to think that you'd have 2 or 3 guys to start ahead of him is not likely. We'll probably give some scenarios as we go through the other matchups of him versus player B and see where we go. You know, how high would we have to be to actually bench him? But no, it's a good matchup Thursday night. I think Josh Jacobs is a good start. On the other side of the ball, both the main wide receivers are dinged up. Keenan Allen and Mike Williams are both struggling with some injuries. We expect both to play. And Keenan's the one we're looking to play. Mike Williams screwed people bad last week if you started him. He goose-egged, left the game. So even if he plays, it's hard to bet on a guy who just came off a goose egg. So Keenan Allen on that side, Eckler, obvious start. On the Raiders side, I think Ruggs is on COVID protocol or something like that. Yeah. Do you like Aguilar this week? I mean, he's had some big games recently.
I like him more than, let's say, Beasley. Now that John Brown's back, I'm not really into Beasley. We're going to touch on that matchup next.
That's a good comparison.
Somebody like that where you picked up, the last 4 weeks or something, right around that range. I like Aguilar over a lot of players right now just because Ruggs is out. And he's got the volume. He gets like a decent amount of targets, and he has the big play. He is the guy on the deep routes, even when Ruggs is healthy. So Ruggs is on COVID, so I like Aguilar a lot this week.
Somebody else that comes to mind just there, if you were relying on Devontae Parker coming in, even if he plays this week, I think I might go Aguilar just because the injury scares you. So that's kind of where we feel about him.
One more thing before we move on to the matchup. Hunter Henry. Now, are you willing to kind of stream him this week? I mean, he's like a tight end streamer, I guess, because he's boom or bust.
Yeah, I mean, guys like Tunyon have really emerged ahead of him. Even Logan Thomas, I still like better than him. So he's kind of at that borderline where he's a start if you've been rolling him out. He's not the best start, but there's probably not 8, 9 better options. I don't love it, but you could roll with him.
All right, I got a great one. Fant, he missed last week with an illness, non-COVID related. He comes back and he's completely healthy. You want Fant or Henry?
Oh, man. Okay, let's say that Fant is a full practice tomorrow. Mm-hmm. Like, he's a full go tomorrow. I think I would go to him. Just the passing game in Denver's been better. Mm-hmm. So I would slightly lean there.
And he's like a focal point, even though
he is. So if I know he's a full go tomorrow, I would go Fant. If he was even looking iffy, I would just start Henry because they're pretty close to me, kind of in the low end one range. But yeah, I would lean Fant.
All right, now jumping right into that matchup, Broncos, Bills at Broncos. Wow, Josh Allen. He was in his zone, man.
He was. He started slow.
He did. Man, the Bills, man. The Bills are gaining some traction. Diggs looks so good. But let's get in this matchup. Devin Singletary and the Bills. Do you like him? I mean, because Zach Moss is there. He's always going to be there,
Yeah, and for that reason, I don't like either. I think there's a lot of people I'd rather start. And also the touchdown upside with them, Josh Allen rushes in more touchdowns than the backs.
We talk about it a lot, but he literally is the running back for the Buffalo Bills.
So those two, unless I'm the desperate of desperation, I'm out on both Bills backs.
Yeah, now let's get into Beasley because John Brown is back. Now we said a couple weeks back when John Brown went on to IR that Beasley would be a startable asset. It's time to put Beasley back on the little toy shelf and sit him for the rest of the season. You don't flex Beasley just because there's too many pass options. Dawson Knox has emerged as like a kind of a little pass option again, and so I don't think that you play Beasley for the rest of the season.
Yeah, and Denver's passing defense has been better than you might expect as well, so even the matchup alone's not great. So with those options, it's just going to be Diggs on the skill position players for the Bills. As good as they are, they spread it so much. I only love Diggs. I don't like the receivers. I don't like the tight ends or the running backs.
Now, there's some decent wide receiver streamers for the Broncos right now. Let's go Hamler. I think I'd rather stream or flex Hamler in a stream scenario over Beasley right now for sure. Are you the same way on that?
Man,
or what?
that's close. Yeah, I'd like.
I'm not expecting what he did last week every week, but just
yeah,
overall.
I think any of the Broncos' three guys I would probably prefer over Beasley at this point, just for the boom potential. Patrick, Judy, even who's not been good, and Hamler, but especially Hamler and Patrick. They're kind of in the 3 range. I like them more than Beasley. That's kind of how the swap's going.
Even though the Bills D showed out last week, they really haven't been that much to be scared of fantasy wise.
The opposite side of Tre'Davious White is going to be vulnerable. We don't know who that is, but those guys, one of them could pop off more than the second across from Diggs.
And that's why I'm feeling Hamler. I like Hamler a lot right now.
I do. He's got big potential. If you need kind of a home run at that spot, he's a good play, Hamler.
Yeah. Now, the backfield, that's a complete toss-up. I mean, Melvin Gordon, he is the more startable running back, but it's just... I mean, I know there's people out there that have been relying on him. I guess you do have to play him at this point, but it's... I don't know. What say you, Melvin?
So, I put him slightly above the Bills' backs, where he is startable, but he's at the very bottom of what I would consider startable, where he's only if you have to. Look to go somewhere else. Just the Broncos, sometimes they pass a lot, sometimes they run a lot, and he's not great enough, I think, to roll him out there unless you really have to. So we'll probably put him in some scenario-type questions later, too. How do you feel? I don't love Melvin Gordon, but I like him more than the Bills guys.
It's just, I don't know, they need to make one of them a workhorse and one of them like a pace back, because, Carolina's a very bad run D, and he only had 13 carries against them when he actually has looked really good this year. Obviously, Phillip Lindsay has looked way more explosive, but hitting a cut, making people miss. Melvin Gordon's looked good this year. That's why he's actually had decent games. But they just got to commit to one. He only had 13 carries against Carolina, so that's kind of scary because that's like a team that you would think like, hey, we're going to kind of run on their bad run D, and they didn't with Melvin. So he's like a fringe RB2. You're kind of hoping for that touchdown because if he's not, he's kind of looking like last week, 13 for 68, 3 catches and 23. That's right around the ballpark. That's like the max you're looking for in just the yard game unless he pops off. I like him over, I probably like him over, I can't even think of anybody right now.
We'll talk some because the RB2 spot is where there's going to be a lot of questions this week. So.
I like him over Fournette, I guess, or no, probably.
That's kind of where I see him, in that kind of where you're not loving it, but if you got to have one, there is some upside.
Yeah, there is.
As we go, we'll come back and we'll touch on them, and even the Bills' backs too, because there's a lot of questions there. But I think he probably agrees. Sleepers, the Broncos, 2 guys. Hamler, 1 we agree on, and Tim Patrick. If you're thin at receiver, and maybe you're dealing with an injury there, they're not bad dart throws at all. I think they've got more upside than a lot of other people you can just pick up right now. So
yeah. And then another thing to monitor for the Saturday game, let's go into it. The Panthers, Packers, Mike Davis, CMC. That's like a big thing here. So CMC, if he plays, he's probably healthy and going to have a good game. But if not, Mike Davis, you have to fire him up against Packers D, right? If he's the only guy, right?
Yeah, and CMC is already listed as doubtful, so he's done.
Yeah,
he's
I
not
think
playing.
So. Yeah.
Mike Davis is an RB1 and a pretty elite one. Just whoever has him, it's been better than expected. You really got to trot him out there. There's no way you have two guys better than him. It's a dream matchup, and you lucked out to have him at this point in the season.
Yeah, and Packers D not only isn't that good of a run, it's just not that great in general. So there's going to be ball movement. There's going to be, in between the tackles, run movement. I think Mike Davis is going to be like a top 5 on the week this week, in a must-win week. That's going to be crucial. Robbie Anderson has, he's actually been decent with some of the receivers going down, but you for sure he's start, no question, right now for you?
I mean, this passing game is one I've spent a lot of time this week thinking about because I own Curtis Samuel in a couple places too. So I think I would feel good starting all 3. DJ Moore's returning. Robbie Anderson, I think, stands a little bit above those two, where I'm pretty comfortable starting him just about everywhere.
He has a good role in the offense.
He does have a good role, and they spread it around, but I like Robbie Anderson. This passing game, somebody's going to boom, somebody's not, but I like Anderson, and then a little less than that, I like DJ Moore and Curtis Samuel. I think another sleeper I had this week, maybe it's because I have him and I'm hoping for it, is Curtis Samuel. He's gotten some red zone carries even when CMC misses.
Yeah, when CMC's out, that's a perfect flex. I like Curtis Samuel a lot. Anytime CMC's out, Curtis Samuel is a nice flex.
And I think he's the only one we can be certain avoids a lot of, what's his name? Jair Alexander.
Yeah, exactly.
So he might stick on DJ Moore or Robbie Anderson. That still doesn't make me lean far away from those guys. But Anderson's nice.
Yeah,
Robbie Anderson's nice. Those other two are, if you need them, they're okay. They're not the best, but they're good flex plays.
Now, let's get on to Big Bob Tunyon, the Funionator. Man, you got to start him, right? I mean, he's 8 touchdowns on the season. He's had 3 touchdowns in a row in each game, and he looks like he's one of A-Rod's boys. He looks like we always talk about how they can support 2 wide receivers. We're not used to the tight end, but it looks like it's a tight end and a wide receiver. With the way they run the ball, I mean, the tight end is going to be open on schemed routes like almost 90% of the time.
Yeah. I mean, you pretty much said it all. And unless you've just held Tunyon being a dickhead while you still have a Travis Kelce or Darren Waller, he's in your lineup and you're happy about it. He's been great. He's scored more touchdowns than just about any tight end. I mean, this is what you hope when you find a waiver wire guy in the midseason, and Tunyon is looking great.
Yeah, I like him over, proclaimed tight end ones like Rob Gronkowski or Hunter Henry, like players like that. I really like him over them,
and pretty easily so.
Yeah. Even Logan Thomas, all those. He's got way bigger boom and a decent floor, and that's kind of all you can ask for your tight end right now.
Yeah, he's probably around the 4, 5, 6 overall tight end in my opinion this week. So if you have him, it's a good one. He's got upside. You never know at tight end, but he looks good. Anybody else we could touch on here? I mean, a desperate play, maybe you could flex Jamal Williams. They've been a little more split lately, Aaron Jones, Jamal Williams, but that's still a risky proposition in the semifinals. So that's pretty much...
Yeah, that's a big risk.
We pretty much touched on who
because Aaron Jones is healthy now, so that is a big risk. Although Jamal Williams is a beast in himself, but, I mean, he's just not... He doesn't get the work that Aaron does. Yeah. That's a big risk.
So here, I'll give you one to think about, and it kind of puts in perspective. Jamal Williams or Devin Singletary?
Oh,
you had to start one. Who is it?
I guess Devin Singletary, because you're just hoping he gets... Because he has the more, I guess, opportunities at carries.
A bigger yardage floor, you would think.
Yeah, I guess. But Jamal could come in and get a touchdown in the red zone. I mean, that's not a crazy proposition. I guess I'm Devin Singletary. I'm sticking with Devin Singletary.
I kind of lean Jamal Williams, but I think the point of this discussion is that those guys are people to avoid.
Yeah.
At this point in time, stay away. Do what else you can. All right, moving on to Sunday matchups. First, the San Fran 49ers, who've been kind of weird to kind of figure out as far as fantasy goes, against the Dallas Cowboys. So starting on the San Fran side, I mean, the matchup's really good against the Cowboys. Something to keep an eye on. Mostert looks like he has an ankle injury. They seem to be worried about it. He's got an MRI, and he didn't practice today. If he misses, I love Jeff Wilson. Jerick McKinnon goes into that desperation flex mode like a Jamal Williams.
Mm-hmm.
But Jeff Wilson, if he's anywhere and you can acquire him, please do it. If Mostert sits, Jeff Wilson is a top 12 play. If Mostert were to play somehow, he would be that guy. But I'm worried about him, so Jeff Wilson to me looks really attractive.
Yeah, and I think I like Jeff Wilson regardless. We've seen him come in and have a 3 TD day with other running backs in the backfield. So if Mostert's out, Jeff Wilson is very good. Probably, yeah, like you said, top 12 on the week. He pushing like a top 8 if he can get a couple tutties. Now there's a window for activation of Kittle.
There is.
I mean, do you wanna speak on that? Do you think he's gonna play this week?
So I have him in two different spots, and my idea all along was if I made it to week 16, I would play him if he was active. Now it's kind of in your face that this week's a possibility. I guess unless you have really after Tunyon, even Tunyon I would go before, but if you have Waller, Kelsey, Mark Andrews, Tunyon, am I missing anybody? If you don't have one of them and Kittle is activated, I start him right after those guys. He's just too good to, even if he doesn't play the full slate of snaps, he's still better than a Logan Thomas, than a Irv Smith Jr. That's how I see Kittle.
Yeah.
He's still a mid-range one this week if he gets activated.
Yeah, and we've seen Mullins hit the tight ends for touchdowns in previous weeks. Jordan Reed had one. Dwelly had one. So if Kittle is in there actually getting snaps, I mean, you kind of have to start him unless you have one of those top guys that we're talking about.
Yeah.
And you know if you do. So, yeah, I like to slide him in there. Now, Cowboys, CD, Cooper. What say of you?
So Cooper's been getting touchdowns lately.
Yeah.
You probably got to ride him. If you've been riding him, keep riding him. That's what you're hoping for. That's it. That is it in all. I mean, Zeke Elliott, you want to touch on the passing options? What do you feel about them first? Amari Cooper,
yeah, he's
not a must start, but he's close.
Yeah, he's close.
He's a strong two.
Probably knowing how he was drafted, he probably almost is a must start in most scenarios, unless you just somehow had a crazy draft and you pick up, Diggs around the next round or something. I mean, and you got like a good depth. I mean, you're kind of pinned. There's a scenario where I wouldn't start him, but if you have other options, I mean, but I mean, he has a connection with Dalton. It looks like a little bit, so
he's nothing to be terrified about. He's still a good play.
Yeah. CD, no, I'm not. I mean, I guess. But Gallup had a couple touchdowns too. Not a couple, just like a touchdown the other week. He's just a hard streamer for me, even though he is so talented. I could see where you're flexing him. You're streaming him in a flex position, but I mean, I would like to hit other players this week just because.
Yeah. I mean, they're not throwing the ball enough for the second option to be a great fantasy play.
Exactly. If you're playing the second option, you're hoping he vultures touchdowns from Cooper and the red zone looks from Cooper, which isn't guaranteed. So.
Yeah, I look at a Hamler or Patrick and kind of put him in the same range as CD. You're just looking for something kind of lucky. So downgrade all those guys. So I have to say, Zeke is either limited or missing practice with a calf injury. It's been a couple weeks now, so he probably still plays. That snap share is getting closer to 50-50 with Pollard. What do you think about Zeke? As most owners, you don't have two better options. He was probably your first pick. So what do you think? This one's tough.
It is tough because we've said it for a couple weeks now where Pollard just looks better. He has more juice. Now, is he a better running back per se? No. But does he have more juice right now at this point in the season? Yes. He runs fucking hard, really hard. He's run through like almost every arm tackle. Now, if Zeke gets pushed back, let's say, Friday he has like a limited or, doesn't participate practice somehow or, limited practice, I would maybe flex Pollard just because he's actually looked good and it's a 50-50, but it is Zeke. I mean, if Zeke plays, Zeke is probably going to get red zone touches, and that's just what it is.
Yeah, he's tough though. He's kind of a lower end too. I'm trying to think of some scenarios. Him versus J.K. Dobbins against the Jaguars. Who do you start?
Man, Probably J.K.
Yeah,
Probably
I
Dobbins.
do too. I don't love Zeke if you somehow
He's
have.
been running hard. Dave Dobbins running hard.
He
yeah.
is, and just the matchup's tough for the Cowboys too. San Fran's good,
Yeah.
especially against the run. He hasn't been good anyways, so I'm looking to get out if I can, but we understand if you can't. I mean, Josh Jacobs is a better start probably.
I got one for you.
Go for
Zeke or David Montgomery?
David Montgomery, no doubt.
No doubt?
No
Okay.
doubt. I don't
All right.
like Zeke at this point, so the matchup's tough and the offense isn't good. I like Montgomery. We'll touch on him later too. What do you think? Is that even close for you?
No, I go Montgomery too. I just trying to get a pulse on it.
Yeah, it is. So Zeke is more in the 24 to 30 in the running back thing, where you're probably starting him if you don't have two. But let's say if you have another strong option and you picked up Mike Davis way back, I'm happy if I'm sitting Zeke. It might not be possible, but he doesn't have a huge ceiling this week, so just be wary of starting him. The 49ers side we didn't touch on. Deebo Samuel's out maybe for the year. Brandon Ayuk is
Start him.
he's almost a must start. I mean, there's not that many people above him. He's come out of nowhere. Mullins is still the quarterback, and even though he kind of sucks, he likes Ayuk. Get Ayuk in your lineup. You really can't sit him this week. It's just a perfect matchup, perfect snap share.
Yeah.
He's great.
I start Ayuk in almost every scenario just because, I mean, there's nobody else. I mean, even if Kittle's back, I mean, that just gets Ayuk a little bit more open in my eyes. I like Ayuk a lot this week.
Me too. So just anything else to touch on that matchup, I will say, if Kittle sits, Jordan Reed is an okay streamer.
Yeah.
Don't overlook the matchup being good because Dwelly's kind of entered the picture again. But he's not a bad streamer. If you've been starting Jimmy Graham all year, I like Jordan Reed over him if Kittle does indeed sit. So that's just the last thing on that matchup. Next up, we have a pretty interesting one. Seattle Seahawks against the recently pretty hot Washington football team. So on the Seahawks side of the ball, Tyler Lockett is one that's just not exploded in a while. Do you still put him out there with everything on the line?
You have to. I mean, there's nobody that could boom like that. I mean, you've had his floor plays the last couple weeks. I get it, and I get you're nervous because he was booming earlier. Business was booming at the beginning of the season. That's how Russ is. He was cooking. But, I mean, the kitchen got cold, and it is what it is. But I think that now that DK has really emerged, I think that now this second half push might kind of open up for Lockett right now. And what better team than the Washington football team? Not a lot of good cornerbacks. Darby's the only decent one there, and he'll probably be on Metcalf. I think that Lockett gets a TD this week. I think he really does.
Yeah, it's just hard to sit him ever. So maybe you don't like the boomer bust nature, but still, he's just...
You have to. He's like a Will Fuller. He'll
finish the year top 15 play. So what do you do with the top 15 guy? You start him. That's pretty much it. The running back position, Chris Carson has come back, looked good. He's been scoring touchdowns. Washington is very good against the run.
Yeah.
I own him, and I'm not loving it, but you still have to start him. He's part of a great offense, gets a lot of red zone work. So Carson's in your lineup, and that's probably it.
DK's a must-star. I mean, I don't even think there's no question.
No question, but that's about it on the Seahawks side.
Are you starting Terry on the Washington's football team side? Because without Alex, it's kind of iffy, and
it is.
It's just he's been getting a lot of double coverage. He's been getting fucking yanked to the line of scrimmage. He's been getting it this past couple weeks. What do you think?
He has. So if the matchup were anything other than great, I would sit Terry, but
it is
the Seahawks. Yeah, the game script should be right. Their defense isn't very good. So as much as he's kind of boned you lately, I still start Terry over most people as wide receiver 2 this week. I mean, it might hurt, but he's still really
he's
really
just
good.
So talented.
He is.
I mean, he's kind of like in a similar boat as like Lockett, where he really hasn't had. I mean, he's had better yard games than Lockett as of recently, but the talent, it's just hard to sit because he could take any slant, he could take any route, make one guy miss and take it to the crib. I mean, he is the F1 McLaurin. I mean he's a year 2 player, but I mean he is raw.
He is.
Now Gibson's out. Now that's it. Now that
he's
kind of
probably out.
Now it makes that kind of makes it more of a pass style offense too, in my eyes.
Yeah, no, definitely so. And Terry's the same, kind of a Lockett where they're going to finish as a top 15, 20 guy, so you have to just take the lows and the highs and play them every week. It'll work out more often than not.
Yeah.
So at running back, let's say Gibson sits. Do you like Barber, first of all, who's been the goal line guy? And obviously PPR, we love McKissick, but in a standard league, do you put him above a Melvin Gordon maybe, or still no?
Yeah, I do. I think McKissick, I mean, he's kind of just, he has a decent role. It's kind of hard to ignore the role. Last week wasn't anything too crazy, but it's just the role is there, and they're going to throw the ball. They're not going to really be running it. I'm not scared of Barber. I like McKissick probably in a PPR scenario over Gordon for sure.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's just the matchup's good. Everything, they should have to throw the ball. He's not elite by any means, but if your 2 is kind of dicey or your flex spot, McKissick is a pretty good dice roll.
Now going on to the next, Logan Thomas. You start Logan
Thomas.
Thomas.
Yeah, I'm starting Logan Thomas. I like him here. I like him better with Alex Smith, but he's still in the kind of 7, 8, 9 range. So I like him a little bit more than a Hunter Henry, but definitely not as the elite. So he's kind of elevated to where he's a better start than a lot of the wishy-washy guys like Jimmy Graham, Jordan Reed. I like Logan Thomas more than those guys.
He did have a tutty at the beginning of the season with Haskin at QB, so I'm not too scared there. Now into the next matchup, Bears at Vikings. Allen Robinson, I mean, unless he sits from an injury, I mean, you have to start him. He just has been so good. Even though the quarterback play has been fluctuated, he's like old school D-Hop. He doesn't matter. Just throw me the go route. I'm going to go up and get it. He's been balling. Montgomery, we talked about it forever. Yep. He was running hard all season, didn't amount to anything because the Bears have been sucking dick. Bears aren't sucking too much dick lately, and now look at Montgomery. He is fucking green light go, Matthew McConaughey style.
He's hot. He's hot, and I'm gonna start him. It's hard for me to imagine having 2 guys better than him. So if you held on to him, start him again. He should be good. He's looked great. You just gotta kind of ride the hot streak.
Any other players on Bears you want to talk?
No, even Cole Kmet's emerged a little bit as a tight end, but I'm still out. There's 12 better options, even on the waiver wire, so look elsewhere. Even Jordan Reed's better than him. I don't like Cole Kmet or Jimmy Graham. Anybody else on the Bears between A-Rob and David Montgomery.
And the Vikings is hard to touch on because they're just all – the players that are playable are auto starts. Dalvin Cook, auto start.
Yep.
Thielen, auto start. Jefferson, auto start. So it's kind of not really much to touch on. I guess Irv Smith with Rudolph going down.
Yeah.
You could. But
Irv Smith and Kirk are ones that we should touch on because Irv, I guess across the way, Cole Kmet or Irv Smith Jr. if Rudolph sits. We like Irv better, right?
I think I like Irv.
Okay, so that's what he's a high-end streamer. He's not somebody you have to get in, but he's interesting enough to put him, if you're struggling there bad, he's not a bad start if Rudolph does sit.
Yeah. Do you like Kirk Cousins this week though?
I don't hate him as much as just the matchup would suggest because he's been okay, but I would hope you have something better. If you're in the semis, you probably do. So unless you're hurting, look elsewhere from Kirk.
Yeah, I like Kirk over maybe Tua or Matt Ryan, but
that's where he is.
That's kind of where he is right now. Kind of that back end 12 fringe, 13-14 where he could be a 10, but he's got to take a touchdown away from Cook. So that's hard to do. Cook's been cooking, not Russ. Let's go to the next matchup. Patriots at Dolphins. Man, with who to start, who to talk about.
Do you start anybody in the Patriots is a question, and I'm a resounding no.
Yeah, I'm a no.
Damian Harris would be the most likely one, and I'm still just no. I mean, he's kind of hurt. I don't think you start any Patriots unless you have to. If you got to this point, we've touched on other guys. At receiver, Jacoby Myers, nope. Go with KJ Hamler, Tim Patrick, somebody like that. I don't think there's anybody in the Patriots to talk about.
I'd maybe start Cam, but it's difficult. Miami's D's been good, so I hope you can lean away from that. But, I mean, I see a reality where he maybe gets a rushing touchdown this week and has, a decent, 16-point game, which could, save you from a bust game. But still, it's just not something I'm banking on.
I think a scenario, let's say I was waiting on Drew Brees to come back. He doesn't come back.
Okay.
Cam has a little bit of boom in him.
Yeah.
To where if I'm just ballsy, I start him. But
And he is their
that's
goal
it.
line back.
Yeah, but that's it.
Now on the other side, we talked about Miami D. They're auto start. We've talked about it a couple weeks back. Miami D, you just almost auto start them out for the rest of the season. They're just way too good. I mean, you saw it last week against Pat Mahomes. They were still getting picks. They were still doing what they do, sacking. But other than that, what's an auto start for the Dolphins? Because Gesicki's out. Icky Gesicki.
He is.
He's out.
Which is a bummer because he was looking good.
And he was, kind of getting his role in there.
Other than him, I'm going to say 0 must starts. So I will say Myles Gaskin's been good. And assuming he's good to go, which did he go back on? He went on COVID list, right?
Yep.
So let's say, assuming he's good to go, he's a pretty good start. He's probably a little bit above, for me, like a Melvin Gordon. He's like an average 2. You could give him a go. Devontae Parker worries me. He's injured. He looks like he'll play. But even then, I'm hoping to go somewhere else.
I have a decent streamer on the Dolphins I like this week. I like Bowden. Lyndon Bowden.
Yeah.
He's actually, he got like 60-something yards last week, maybe more than that. And he actually is getting rush attempts because he has been a running back. So with Myles Gaskins potentially missing the game, if he does miss, I think that Bowden is a very nice flex this week. I almost put him in like a upside wide receiver 3 kind of status where he could maybe touch 2. I mean, he's going to get work, especially if Gaskin's out. I like him a lot this week.
See, I think that's important. If Gaskin is out, Lynn Bowden in a wide receiver slot is an excellent play.
Yeah.
Because he could very much, get a bunch of carries too. He's kind of like a running back.
And in the Yahoo leagues and I think ESPN league right now, he does have the dual tag running back wide receiver.
Yeah.
So that's a nice wide receiver flex right now.
Yeah. Now, if Gaskin comes back, be careful about that because I think it gets dicey there.
Yeah,
so.
You really need to monitor the Gaskin situation and the Parker situation right now. If Parker's out, Bowden's good. If Parker's in and Gaskin's out, I still think Bowden's good. So that's kind of what I have to say about the Dolphins. We're not starting 2, huh?
No, but Devontae Parker, if he does play, kind of what tier do we put him in?
He's like a fringe wide receiver 2, I guess. But I mean, he's more of a wide receiver 3, honestly. Like,
Let's say him against Nelson Aguilar on Thursday. Who do you like there? That's where he is to me. Where I would like to sit him, but he's not the worst start.
I'd probably start Aguilar. I think we honestly brought that one up at the beginning. I think I'd start Aguilar.
Yeah, I think so too. So, Devontae Parker. I mean, he's a good player. If you got to put him out there, he's better than a lot of guys. But we don't highly suggest him.
Shark or Parker.
That's good.
I think Minshew comes back this week.
That's good.
He does. Does he come back this week?
Yeah, he does, and I go Chark there.
Okay, I like that too. I think so too.
I think the injury just worries me about Devontae Parker because if he's limited, I would hate for that to be the reason I got screwed in the semifinals. Mm-hmm. Whereas Chark, even though the Jaguars suck, the Ravens are good, he gets a lot of targets. So I lean Chark there, and I still don't love Chark. So that kind of tells you how we feel about Devontae Parker.
Yeah, and don't let recency bias let you forget that Parker is very injury prone. So, he had a good season last year, and he had a decent start this year. Very injury prone. So, very close thing to monitor on that. Let's go right into the next matchup. We're already talking about it. Yeah, Jaguars at Ravens. James Robinson, got to start him.
Yeah.
I mean, no one else in the Jaguars. I mean, besides Chark, you start Chark with Minshew in. If some weird scenario, Minshew's out, you sit Chark, in my opinion. Ravens, Marquise Brown has got pay dirt the past 3 weeks, and he also dropped the touchdown, I think, either a week before that where he would have had 4 consecutive weeks with a touchdown. Do you like Brown this week?
Well, guess what? Earlier today, he went on the COVID list.
Oh, he did?
He did, which is a bummer because he finally looked good and has a good matchup. So, assuming he's out, you really got to just kind of write off the Ravens' pass-catching options outside of Andrews. Yeah, that caught me by surprise, too. I would have suggested him above a Devontae Parker if he plays. It looks like that's not going to happen.
Okay, so you don't. I mean, you fire up Mark Andrews, I guess.
Mark Andrews, yeah, he had a good week last week, and if you have him, you're probably riding him out. I don't see a scenario where you don't. I like him.
You're starting J.K. Dobbins.
Big time. I love J.K. Dobbins. And then even Gus Edwards, he becomes a... If you need to roll the dice at flex, he's got a lot of upside for touchdowns.
He's going to get goal line looks. I mean, we said it like 7 weeks ago.
Yeah.
He's been getting all the goal line looks. He's going to continue to get goal line looks. Obviously, J.K. is now kind of absorbing the role that Mark Ingram used to have, but that still is giving carries to Gus Edwards. I mean, he's the goal line back. He's just a bigger bruiser, and he's running harder than all Mark Ingram and J.K. Dobbins right now.
Now, take this in context. He's not a must-start or a high-end two, even Gus Edwards. He's still kind of the second fiddle. But if you're looking for somebody to just put in the flex, he has a lot of scenarios where he can go off. So we like Gus as that flex dicey play over probably a lot of other iffy options.
Let's kind of get rapid fire. Let's go into the next one. Buccaneers at Falcons. Now, a lot of wide receivers for the Buccaneers. I like Godwin, I like Evans, and I like Gronk. I'm not very confident in Gronk, but I like Gronk. And then I think I'm sitting AB. I mean...
Yeah, I'm sitting Antonio Brown. And like you said, Gronk... He scares me a little. You've probably been riding him to this point, and I like him better than a lot of the options on the like a Cole Kmet. I'm not going to pick him up and start him over Gronk, but Gronk's not the best either. Like I would start Kittle over Gronk if Kittle were to return and you have both.
Now Fournette with Rojo on the injury, probably an RB2 this week.
It's tough because he was a healthy scratch last week, right? But you got to have short memory and.
Yeah.
They don't have anybody else to be the bruising type role. And yeah, they should be up in this game. So I like Leonard Fournette quite a bit this week as a solid 2. I think he gets in the end zone, and that's a healthy floor.
Now the other backfield, Todd Gurley. You probably have to start him. He's kind of probably gotten you the dance so far, even though it's just been a weird year. If you've actually watched the games, it's just been he doesn't look anything special, but he still has good games. What the wide receivers? You're a Julio owner. What is Julio?
So I think he misses this week.
Okay.
Raheem Moore today called him week to week. It's strange to say if he plays this week. If he does play, you pretty much got to play him. It sucks. It really does. But if he's out, Ridley gets bumped up a little bit, and Russell Gage becomes a good streamer option for me. Not a great play anywhere, but it's a name that you could pick up if you're waiting on the Devontae Parker. We talk about him a lot,
Yeah.
But if Devontae Parker were late inactive, I like Gage as a good fill in there. And that's pretty much it. Gurley, man, I'm hoping you've tried to slowly wean off of the old nipple of Todd Gurley the last few weeks. If you haven't, you probably start him, but he's not a very strong start.
Yeah, that's a good analogy because he has been giving you milk, but... Nah, as of recently, a little bit chunky. Man, we're hoping we're getting some formula at this point.
Absolutely. So Hayden Hurst, I've honestly forgotten about him as a player.
Yeah.
But when I just look at him versus, I don't know, let's call it the Mark Andrews and stuff. It's pretty clearly Mark Andrews.
Yeah, it's hard to start him without the touchdowns. I mean, we were hoping for so long to get touchdowns. We didn't get them. We got nice, decent floor with yards. But that's not someone you sit. I mean, you start every week. It's just not what it is. I like a lot of other options more than Hurst this week.
Agreed.
I'd avoid him almost at all costs.
Yep, I'm with you. So in the next matchup, we've got the Detroit Lions, which is kind of a mess. Matt Staff is looking kind of doubtful to play against the Titans who've been rolling. Lions side of the ball, let's say Matt Stafford sits. Do you start DeAndre Swift? And what about Marvin Jones? I think it's safe to assume Galladay misses again. So
yeah, there's nothing to play for. There's nothing to play for. He's on a contract year.
Yeah.
He's going to be a free agent. You have to think about things logically. It's not just the team that controls if he plays or not. It's him at this point. He can say however hurt he really is or not is just because he doesn't want to actually go out and get a very serious injury. He's going to be one of the top free agents at wide receiver on the market if he can come out healthy right now and doesn't get re-injured. So I think he sits for the rest of the season. I think this week and next week he sits. Marvin Jones, for that reason, if Matt Staff is there, I like him a lot.
Yep.
If Matt Staff's not there, I don't like him at all. I don't like really any piece of the Lions offense except Hawkinson, just because he's been pretty consistent, and he's just a good tight end. I mean, he's a really good tight end talent.
Yep.
We'll see that in a future season if Matt Staff stays the Lions and they can have a full season together. We'll definitely see that, but nobody else is really jumping out the Lions for me. I don't like AP. I don't like Swift.
Is the one. That's where it gets interesting. He's an okay two. But if Matt Staff sits, I think it's going to be kind of a struggle on O. So he's not great. He's probably not where you were hoping for looking at the Titans coming into this week. So we'd probably suggest you go elsewhere on the Lions side outside of Hawkinson.
Now the Titans, Corey Davis kind of did people dirty last week, even though he's been feasting, and we talked about it probably 6 weeks ago, where he's actually a startable asset in the future. Now, what say of you of Davis? I think Davis is still startable. I mean, that's been the worst game he's had all year.
Yeah.
So, I mean, unless you're looking for him to repeat that, I mean, he feasts with Brown getting the number one coverage on the other side. I mean, I like Corey Davis this week a lot.
I'm back on the Corey Davis train, too. He's a strong 2 to me. I'm going to try to start him in a lot of places. I like him over Chark, for example, still. So Corey Davis for me is good. And then obviously A.J. Brown and Derrick Henry are excellent. Jonnu Smith is dicier than usual, but if you have him, you're probably still starting him.
And then I like... sorry, I need a salt right now. Shit. I like Tannehill this week, actually. I think he's
it's a good matchup.
12. I think he's a top 12 start this week. It's going to be hard to find someone that's going to be better than him that you probably picked up off the wire or just a late-in draft pick that you had.
Yep. And Tennessee D is a good stream if Matt Staff sits. So keep an eye out. They might not be owned. That's a little sneaky play this week, so keep an eye.
Be real sneaky.
A little bit sneaky.
Now, let's go right into the next matchups. Get going. Texans at Colts. Man, Texans fucking suck.
They suck, and they've kind of folded up. So on their side of the ball, Deshaun Watson isn't elite start this week, but I'm still struggling to sit him. You probably start him. You might not be super happy about it, but I think you still start him. Brandon Cooks, if he returns, he's an okay wide receiver too. Not great. And Kiki QT is a decent flex play. Really not much more. That's it. No running backs for the Texans.
Yeah, and what a sad story the Texans are. I fucking hate talking about them. I guess it's just because we're from Houston, but fucking Christ, I'm actually pissed off.
I mean, a great season from Deshaun has gone completely to waste. So, but even now, he's running more. So you still start Deshaun Watson.
You gotta start him.
Yeah,
he's fucking Deshaun Watson.
Yep.
You start him, but God, Colts. You start T.Y. T.Y. looks like a potential league winner right now. You scoop him up off your wire.
He's back.
He's potentially gonna win you the league right now. He's crazy good. And he's back in form, and Phillip Rivers looks like he has just enough in that old arm slingshot to get it to him.
The old shot put.
He's only got enough to get it to him right now. Now, JT Taylor, you have to start him. He also looks like he could win you the league right now. I think those two, no question, you start them. Unless an injury happens, you're starting them from here on out. And if you're somehow in a Week 17 play, then you start him as well in Week 7. I think you start him the rest of the way.
I'm with you. And other than Jonathan Taylor and T.Y. Hilton, who are damn near must-starts, 3 people on their team are interesting as streamers because the Texans are so bad. Phillip Rivers, shockingly, is not a bad streamer this week. Michael Pittman is an okay wide receiver streamer, and Nyheim Hines. PPR, he's a great flex play. Standard leagues, he's still got some upside because they probably put up a lot of yards, a lot of points against the Texans.
I'm the same way. I think all 3 of those are decent streams, and then obviously you're starting Colts D.
Yeah.
I mean, Colts D has been good. Not a lot of, fantasy games haven't been amazing, but they're decent defense, and you got to roll with them this week. The Texans offense really can't even get their own feet underneath them. I think it'll be a nice week.
Definitely so.
Go into it.
So next up we have the Eagles, who have a little bit of new life, versus the Cardinals. We'll be pretty quick on this one. Jalen Hurts. I'm not going to overreact to last week personally and make him a must start, but he's probably among the top 10, 12 guys. If you're needing a fill-in, Jalen Hurts has proven to be pretty good.
Yeah, I like him over Matt Ryan this week.
Yeah.
I like him over Tua. I like him over Trubisky. I like him over a lot of players. I like him a lot this week.
Basically, below the every week starters, he's next up for a guy that the matchup's pretty good. Great running floor. Jalen Hurts, if you need a quarterback, he doesn't get much better. Miles Sanders
Commander
has new
Sanders
life.
is back.
He is, and son of a bitch, he screwed me so many times this season, but
You only need to win once, so you don't get the smoothie,
I
Greg.
know,
Come on.
Last week I could have used that points, you piece of shit, Miles Sanders. But having
Commander
said that,
Sanders.
he's got new life. Their offense is better. He's a great start this week. He's a high-end RB2 kind of guy. A lot of upside there. Pass catching options, Alshon scored. I still don't want to start any of them. Even Rager, I'm out.
Mhm.
The tight ends, Goddard's probably still a pretty good start. But even then, with Ertz back, his upside's diminished. So really just Hurts and Sanders I'm trying to start. I'm okay with Goddard, but that's about it at the Eagles side of the ball.
Yeah, I'm okay with Goddard. I hope that you maybe have someone else and you picked up Goddard, at the back end of the season because he was like a back end kind of scoop.
Yeah.
Hoping you have somebody else.
Like, I like Gronk versus him. What do you think
Yeah, I like
this
Gronk.
week?
I like Gronk a lot.
Yeah,
better
so
than him.
so Goddard's just, if you must play him, he's better than nothing.
Yeah. I even might like freaking Cooks for the Saints more than Goddard this week, depending on if Drew comes back.
Yeah.
Now, going to the Cardinals, D-Hop, you got to start. Drake, you have to start at this point.
Pretty much, he's good.
And then everyone else is a no-go. Kirk's a no-go.
Yep.
We're looking at maybe Max Williams developing a role. He's still a no-go. He's a good tight end to maybe monitor going into next season if he's got preseason camp hype. But other than that, you're not really starting anyone else in the Cardinals. You're
Nope.
starting K1. You got to start Murray, right?
Yep.
Got to. Eagles are dog shit. Got to do it. Now, Jets at Rams. LA Rams D, fire him up.
Yep.
Robert
Elite play this
Woods,
week.
Cooper Kupp, fire him up. Cam Akers,
Yep.
Another league winner potentially right here. Cam Akers has turned up the Jets, and they're giving him more carries than they did with Henderson when Henderson was kind of the primo back. So
Yep.
I think they're definitely committing to Cam Akers. I think this was kind of their plan the whole season was to get a back acclimated and kind of ready for like a postseason run because they've done it before, so they understand what it kind of takes to get a back hot and then ride them in the playoffs. They did it literally to a Super Bowl. I like Akers a lot this week.
Yeah, game script is going to be perfect for him. I like him more than even a Josh Jacobs. What do you think?
Yeah, I do.
He's
I
in that
wish
range,
I fucking
right?
had him. Yeah,
So he's probably a RB1 must start.
Yeah, you got to start him. It's just no one. What do you have, like 32 carries? It's something crazy.
Yeah, that many touches, I think, and they should be up on the Jets and just trying to slam it home. So
Yeah, he is a must start. You can't sit him.
Jets side of the ball, nobody.
Nobody.
Nobody interests me. Even the receivers, they're not worth a dart throw. So that's it. Just start all your Rams. Don't start any Jets. Next up is a pretty big matchup. The Kansas City Chiefs go to New Orleans to face the Saints. Chiefs side of the ball, the running backs, I'm out on both. I'm starting many people over both options. I start Melvin Gordon over Clyde Edwards-Helaire.
That's
I don't know.
crazy, yeah.
You feel the same?
Yeah.
So out on them. At the receiver, outside of Tyreek, Sammy Watkins has looked all right coming back, but I still don't love it. It's just going to be the big three for me in Kansas City.
Yeah, Pat Mahomes, Travis Kelce, Tyreek. And those three have got you there. You better pray they continue because they're probably the reason why you got there. Now, the Saints, it's kind of iffy where they were kind of pending Drew Brees news. But if not, what say you, White Chocolate? Are you still starting White Chocolate this week?
Taysom Hill, for me,
That is his legal name.
I put him slightly below Jalen Hurts, if that kind of says it.
Okay.
Where he's a good stream to me, but I don't love the start. The Chiefs are better than... People are starting to figure out Taysom Hill a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm hoping to go a different direction.
Mm-hmm.
I'd probably rather start Goff against the Jets, personally, than Taysom Hill. So, either him or Drew Brees, whoever starts this game, I'm looking to avoid. What do you think?
I'm the same way, but I had to bring it up because I know people scooped him and probably they were desperate for a quarterback and were starting him and were very happy with the production, and now it's kind of looking like a different outcome right now.
Yeah.
So I'm the same way on that. I might even like a Jared Goff this week more than Taysom Hill.
I'm there as well.
Michael Thomas, MT, You got to start
They're
him.
good.
I mean, he is Michael Thomas. Now, Cooks is a nice little tight end streamer this week. They're going to have to score the ball. They're going to have to pass the ball.
Yep.
So I think Cooks could maybe get a tutty or maybe, have 60 yards on the day, a couple catches. If you're in PPR, that'll be nice. Alvin Kamara, got to start him. Now, Latavius Murray, what do you think of him?
I'm fading away from him.
I know. Yeah, they're not running as hard now.
They're not. It looked like he might have a few weeks in a row. I think they already passed, so I'm not looking for him.
Yeah. Now, Browns at Giants. Browns, I mean, you start both of the running backs there with confidence, right?
Very
Even
much.
Hunt.
They're hot, yeah. Kareem Hunt, I don't think he's a must start, but he's a good RB2. If you have the luxury of having two better guys, there's still a world where he doesn't explode, but they're both, I mean, Chubb is elite RB1.
Mm-hmm.
Kareem Hunt's still a great start.
I got a nice little start sit for you.
Do it.
Kareem Hunt or David Montgomery?
That one's really close for me. I just go with the David Montgomery, the sure thing with being the lead dog, and he's just been piping hot, and the Vikings aren't a great D. That's close to me, but that's a scenario where I sit Kareem Hunt if I have Montgomery and Akers, If I'm that fortunate right now, I like those guys a little more than Kareem. But Kareem's still a nice play.
One more. You got Kareem Hunt or Josh Jacobs?
Oh, that's tough. That's about as much of a toss-up as you can get. For me, I still go Josh Jacobs. I still trust in the volume. Just Kareem Hunt scares me a little. He has more there's more of a possibility that he gets only 10 touches for 50 yards. It seems it doesn't happen to him very often, but there's still a world where that happens, and that worries me. I still like Jacobs above him. Kareem's a mid-range too.
Yeah, I'm the same way. Now, Jarvis Landry, he didn't get pay dirt last week. He didn't get the tutty, but I like him a lot this week.
I do. And even Rashad Higgins has been good. But if I just had to pick one here, I'm going to go with the safer play of Jarvis Landry, and that's pretty much it.
He is the X receiver. Even though Higgins has a decent connection with Mayfield, the offense is going to be schemed for Jarvis. And he's been good. He's been running hard. He's been getting open. Now, the Giants... I mean, I guess you could start Gallman, right? I mean, he's been sneaky. He's been actually getting points. I mean, I don't know where the fuck he gets the points from, but he pulls the points out of his ass plops them down.
He does.
It's fucking weird.
He does, but as sneaky as he's been, the Browns have been sneaky good.
Yeah, I know.
On
That's
run
why
D.
I kind of propped it.
I'm hoping to avoid Gallman this week. I think the magic runs out this week, so I'm down on him more than most this week. He's a flex play at best for me.
Any of the wide receivers you like?
None of them, and I don't even like Evan Ingram this week. I like Jared Cook better, Goddard better, and that's just it. The Giants, it's Gallman if anybody, and even then I don't love anybody on that side.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I don't even like Ingram. I don't like any of that. Just avoid all of that bullshit.
Yep.
Now let's get into the last matchup. Your potential league winner here. If you got players in this matchup, I mean, you're gonna be shitting bricks until Monday night. Steelers at Bengals. I mean, start Steelers D. I mean, that could potentially win you. That looks like it could win you the league right now. If they pop off these next 2 weeks as they should against these teams, Steelers D looks very nice. Now, the receivers for the Steelers, that's a toss-up. Juju's looked really good. Deontay's been getting targets. Can't do shit with the targets. A lot of drops.
Yeah.
What save you? I mean, Claypool has kind of came back down to earth. I mean, what do you think?
I think that I'm going to have to be a little bit assume that the last few games were not going to continue, and I love the Steelers pass catching options this week. They have to win. I think they're going to gut it out big. So Deontay Johnson, I'm back on board starting him. Juju starting him. Even Claypool. I'm starting all those guys. I think Ebron is the odd man out with me downgrading the passing game of the Steelers a little. All three options, though, I do like quite a bit this week.
Yeah, and I agree with that. I think that with the run deficiency that they're having with the Steelers, I think they're going to have to pass heavy. And I think there is a light at the end of the tunnel for the Steelers to maybe hope that the Chiefs lose this week and they could kind of emerge first again. So I think they're going to be playing hard, especially the passing game. I think it's going to be firing on all cylinders. Because Big Ben actually has looked good this season. It's just been kind of weird. The drops, he's kind of like cucked him last week. I think Big Ben's a decent, actually, like little start this week. What do you think?
He's worried me by looking really gimpy the last few weeks, but this matchup's so soft that even if he is, he's got the weapons to just go hard.
He plays with the gimp a lot, though. He's got
does,
a pimp lip that he plays with. He kind of just has swagger when he's got the gimp going.
He does,
though.
and this week they've got I like him a lot. Pass-wise, the Steelers are great. As far as the running backs go, James Conner, I guess, has a quad injury or something. If he plays, I'm still not playing him. Mm-hmm. Honestly, I'm not. If he sits, though, I do like Benny Snell as a pretty good, too, if you needed him.
Yeah, I like Snell you later. That is a nice little sneaky start this week, especially with Connor out. Now, Bengals, wow. Anyone you want to start from the Bengals, Greg? Anyone?
No,
anyone.
even if Mixon returns, it's a no-go. If I've got to go somebody here, it's T. Higgins, and I'm not.
He's actually hurt a little bit this week.
He is. So even a Tyler Boyd, I would preferably go Tim Patrick or KJ Hamler.
Yeah.
You do the same?
Yeah. I mean, I'm
just
out on everybody.
Avoid the Bengals. When everything's on the line, don't pick either of them. So that's all I've got.
Yeah, I mean, this one's a little bit longer. We hope that we kind of touched on everything that you needed to. If you're still listening, you're still tuned in, and we didn't touch on what you need or questions you have with your own roster, feel free to hit us on Twitter at FanBros Podcast. Please hit us up. We love to help y'all out. We know it's crunch time. You want someone's opinion. We'll help you weigh in on the matchup.
So good luck, everybody, coming up. We'll plan the paintball outing where I get lit up. We'll do that pretty soon, maybe the weekend after championships. But everybody, good luck. Send us your questions. Hope y'all go on and prosper in the championship round.
All my niggas been on. All my niggas stay solid. All my niggas some players. All my niggas they retired.